Welcome to the Hordecast Live. Tonight's episode is sponsored by our good homie Motorboat. After the intro, we will be right back. All right, we got the full gang here, and we're hanging out with J. Rowe from the Rowe Show. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much,
How you
man.
doing?
Excited as fuck to be here with y'all. As my homie Random Cats is saying in the comments, it is Monday night roaming in this bitch. What is happening, my homies? Thank y'all for asking me to be on, man. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, we see the work that you're putting in, and I got to say, dude, I just wanted to say right off the bat, you have a great voice for this podcast thing.
Thanks,
Not
man.
too many people can pull that off, but when you've got like a very welcoming voice, somebody that is good at talking, you do that very well. So I wanted to say hats off to you for that, man. I look forward to your show every time you have one, dude. And we'll get to some of the guests you've had. But I mean, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because you are also a performer in a band, or was, you said recently on your interview with Scum that you guys took a hiatus because of COVID, and you guys have, really haven't gotten back together because, of the having to rebuild and everything that you'd have to do. I understand that, but what was it like for you? This is one of my most curious questions. Going from that to being a podcaster, I mean, how much of a transition was that like? I mean, I've always been curious about that.
Well, to be honest, when I was in Menace, I ended up taking on the role of being the full-time social media account person, on top of being a front man, by the way. I also took care of all of our digital work as far as images, video, all that shit. So when I decided to do this in the format that I was doing this, everything that I'm doing with this show, I did for Menace. So the only thing that I don't do is record a track with a band anymore. So actually what I'm doing now is one thing less from what I used to do when I worked with Menace. Because again, the only thing I'm missing out, well, I guess two things. The stage performance aspect of it isn't there anymore, but this is kind of a performance in itself. You can't really say that this isn't, because not that I'm portraying a character or anything like that when I do this, because I'm not. I'm still me. But at the same time, like, there's got to be some flair behind it. As you alluded to, which I appreciate you saying this, there's a certain gravitas that you have to do when you do these kind of shows to keep people's attention as much as possible. Granted that it's always about the guest when you do these podcasts, and everybody knows that. That's the format, that's podcasting. But at the same time, you can't have a host. Like, the one thing I didn't want to do is be that guy that says, "Hey, welcome to the Rowe Show. I'm Jay." Like, come on, man, come on. I hate that shit when I hear a podcaster and you can just tell like you have no business doing this. But so that is the kind of showmanship to it that I kind of carried over, because again, I was very comfortable talking to people on stage. That's why one of the reasons why Doc ended up backing off of the role of speaking to the crowd completely and just left it up to me, because I'm comfortable doing stuff like this. So really, there's nothing added to podcasting that I didn't do for Menace, if that makes sense.
Hell
Yeah, and I mean, and it probably helped that you had all the connections from being in the band to help
Absolutely.
get, for real. I mean, everybody knows you pretty well, so there you
Get out
go.
around everywhere, kissing hands and shaking babies and such.
Yeah, he was.
It it was a head start. I'm not even going to front, like, because I've got, and see, that's another advantage I had into starting this was, like you said, I've got all these contacts and all these people I've met throughout, all the years, and just knowing AXE for as long as I have. If you listen to the Joe Black episode or any episode that I've done with any of the LLE guys, I've known most of these guys for almost a decade now. So it's like having that experience was absolutely a head start. And not only that, I think that the people that know me throughout the years know, like, I'm not a boring person. And that's as much as I get the guest to elevate me, it's also me trying to elevate the guest as well. You know what I'm saying? So they knew I was going to be able to do that. So yeah, I absolutely had a head start on that.
So I wanted to talk about one guest in particular, and this is probably going to be off the wall to these guys, but you had Eric Bischoff on the show.
That was a good one.
And I've got to say, dude, I respect that man so much from a business aspect, just because I've listened to 83 Weeks for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And he goes in the weeds a bit, like he says, with things, but sometimes that's necessary to know the real deal about something. Even if it gets boring, he gets to the point of it. And dude, I hope you have him on again. But my question was, do you know him somehow, or how did you get him on the show?
So this was some mega ninja shit. So I used to be a part of ad-free shows, which you obviously know what that is, being a part of the 83 Weeks family and something to wrestle with. Big fan of that. And I used to be a subscriber for a long time, and nobody attacked me here because I normally get shit for this. I'm not an AEW fan. I never have been. I never will be. It's just not my flavor. And when they started bringing in more and more AEW guys into the podcasting world for Conrad Thompson, I was like, there's no reason for me to listen to this. At the time, Bruce Pritchard wasn't putting out a lot of content because he was so busy with WWE. And to be honest, the dirt sheet toxicity when it comes to Eric is a little overwhelming sometimes, because it's like, okay, we get it. You hate Dave Meltzer. Like, I don't like Dave Meltzer either, but after a while, it's like, I cannot hear another fucking episode of him bitching about Dave Meltzer, right? So I ended up leaving the platform, which I was a Top Guy member, which is $100 a month subscription, which is expensive. And I wasn't listening to these things. So I'm like, you know what? It's not worth the monthly video chat where I get 15 seconds to talk to these people. I'm done. So this was, I want to say 2021 when I ended up leaving. So 2 years passed. It was November, actually. No, I'm sorry. It was October of 23. So it hasn't even been a year yet. And I get an email from Conrad Thompson, who, for those who don't know, Conrad Thompson is the one who runs ad-free shows. And it was basically saying, hey, we noticed that you stopped being a member. How can I get you to subscribe again? And I'm just thinking, like, man, I don't want to subscribe to this again, especially not at the level that I was. $100 a month is, everybody's fucking broker than broke right now. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, myself included. I was not trying to do this, but I was like, at this point, I already knew what I was doing with the podcast. I already knew that I needed some big names. And I'm like, man, Conrad Thompson is a businessman. And anybody that's watched any of his episodes knows exactly what I'm saying. This dude wheels and deals all day. I'm like, let me try this real quick. If he says no, fuck it. He says no, at least I tried. So I emailed him.
He's back. A mortgage dealer on the side. Like his main job is dealing mortgages and helping people out with their mortgage deals and shit.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, all right, he's trying to make the sale. That's exactly what I was thinking in my head. All he wants to do right now is make the sale, and he's going to do whatever he can to make that happen. So I emailed him back. I said, I'll make you a deal. I will subscribe for the next 3 months, which was the end of the year 2023. You have my word. I will stay on for a full 3 months, which is $300. And you get me a phone call with Eric Bischoff. And he said, done. It's happening. So I already knew what I was going to do at that point. I'm going to have this phone call, and I'm not getting off until I get his email or the email of his assistant, whoever it is. This is going to be big. Now, that phone call did end up happening, and it was a simple, hey, how's it going? Like, you could tell he was real kind of timid to talk to me at first because, again, like I said, when it comes to podcasting hosts, these people are all timid to begin with. Every single one of them. Everyone that's got any celebrity status that I have talked to of any kind is timid as fuck until they figure out who they're talking to. Same thing with this phone call. And I think he said something like, so are you watching Monday Night Raw or football tonight? And I'm like, oh God, he doesn't want to be on the phone. So I'm just going to kill this conversation now. I was like, neither actually, but I have a question. I've got this show, gave him my sales pitch. I said, would you be on? Or I'm sorry, I said, who can I contact to ask or book you or pay whatever I got to do? And he goes, brother, you're talking to him. Me. He said, I would love to do that for you. And I was like, great. So we set it up. The first date we were supposed to have it, we had to reschedule. Eric Bischoff was actually going to be the number two guest on the show. Lee Carver was always going to be number one just because of my relationship with him. But Eric Bischoff was going to be number two, but he ended up taking a booking for WrestleCon. So for like a month, I was like, fuck, this is not going to happen now because he wasn't answering my emails. He just said, he couldn't do it, whatever it was, let's reschedule. And I couldn't get him back on. So eventually, I think it was early December, I was like, I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to email this dude twice a day until he responds. I think it was a Wednesday where he hit me back, but that first Monday, emailed him twice, nothing. That Tuesday, emailed him twice. Hey man, just seeing if you got any time, blah, blah. Wednesday, hit him back early in the morning. And it was like, because he lives in Cody, Wyoming, so he's an hour behind me. And I sent him this email at like 5 a.m. and it's 4 a.m. his time. And it's like 4:01. He sends me an email back like today at 2. Dope. Let's fucking go.
Right.
So, hey, we recorded the episode and it's for me, and I apologize for being long-winded, but I'm just used to it at this point.
Oh, you're good, man. You're the guest. This is you're formed to tell us
It's a cool
shit.
story.
You have to listen to bootleg.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, for me, Eric has always been a big inspiration for me after I started listening to 83 Weeks because nobody really knew his story before that podcast came out. And truth be told, 83 Weeks is one of the reasons why I got into podcasting. I was never into listening to them, wanting to do them at all until I got into 83 Weeks. And not only that, and I think Bootleg would probably appreciate this more than most.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir, dude. I was into the same two shows and Something to Wrestle With, What Happened When, and also I started taking in I listen to Jim Cornette now because I consider him like the grumpy old man of wrestling podcast.
Fair, yeah.
And I get a kick out of hearing him bitch about everything. So, but I'm like you. I like WWE and a lot of other independents, but I don't really care for so much of what goes on in AEW backstage. And, well, some good matches I'll catch, but I can catch those outside of watching the whole show. You know what I'm saying? But Go back to what you were saying, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just agreeing with you, man.
You're fine. Yeah.
I was agreeing with you big time.
That's exactly what I'm referring to, though, is the fact that I don't like at the time anyway, it wasn't focused on let's talk about AEW because at the time where I started listening to 83 Weeks, it was all about AEW, everything you heard on everything. And I wasn't getting my wrestling fixes. I didn't give a fuck. Like this was before they even knew what the name of the company was going to be. And everybody was in Japan and they just knew they were going to start a company. And it was like, oh God, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But so I started listening to 83 Weeks and that's when I started to realize, because I was like everyone else, I read dirt sheets. I would look up the spoilers. I would do all that shit. And then I start hearing these guys, like every single fucking one of these dudes have all said the same thing. They all make shit up. And the IWC, the internet wrestling community, just takes all of it as fact, even though they know these people are notorious liars. They're fucking professional clickbait artists. And people actually take them, at their word is gospel, and that shit irritates the living hell out of me. But anyway, so I started listening to 83 Weeks and I started to find out that some of the shit I was untraining my brain, like, oh shit, yeah, okay. Mabel was supposed to be the third man of the NWO. Dave Meltzer fucking printed that and people bought it. And there's still people that take that man's word. It's fucking crazy. They get caught in lies all the time. And Eric Bischoff's show is one of the first ones to really expose that. But not only that, I have a deep admiration for one of the reasons why everyone hates Eric Bischoff more than anything. I loved his ruthless business tactics as an adult, not so much as a kid. As a little kid, I fucking hated his guts. But as an adult,
that was good. That was good. He was a heel. He was supposed to.
He was supposed to. Exactly. Yeah. He was doing his job. Right. Exactly. But as an adult, I can go back and see that, and to see him actually challenge the Juggernaut and hear the stories. and hear his philosophies, which I've adopted quite a bit. Like he's got the ability to work with people that he doesn't like. And before then, I was just like, if it's somebody in my job site I didn't like, I would make myself miserable because I hated them. And listening to his words really helped me retrain my brain to, okay, I don't have to like you to work with you, which is something that he says. And whenever I start being around in those type of predicaments, whether it be at my job, my day job, whether it be, somebody I'm at a show, whatever it might be, I just go, okay, I don't have to like this individual, but we do have to get a job done. And I got that from him. So it was a big deal for me personally to be able to speak to him for that reason. And I've spoken to him on the ad-free show things, like I was just referring to a little bit ago, but you only got like 15, maybe tops 15 minutes to speak to these people. And that was on a good day. Any other time you're maybe getting 5 minutes. So to actually get him for a whole half hour and just ask whatever I want and for the product to come out the way that it did. And he gave me the quote of my lifetime saying that if you give Dave Meltzer a cookie and pat him on the head and tell him he's a good boy, he'll write whatever positive things in the world that you want him to. And I play that back every once in a while because it's surreal talking to guys like Bish and people that I grew up watching, like Ken Shamrock, and being able to have these discussions with them. Because you asked me if I was going to get some of the opportunities a year ago, if I was going to be where I am now, where I'm 31 episodes in, and I've spoken to some pretty important people in the culture. I would have never believed you.
Exactly, man. That's a nice shirt you got on there. Is that the OG Coal Chamber shirt?
It is not. It is the Hot Topic reprint, but yes, it is the actual design. Yes, for the big truck. Yeah,
big truck.
Big Coal Chamber fan. Big Des. I used to do security at the place I used to book at. It was called Odd Bodies in Dayton. And Dez was the only person after the Devil Driver set that I was working for. He is still to this day the only artist of his caliber that actually bent over and shook the hand of every single security guard before he got off stage after his set was done. People can say whatever they want about Coal Chamber, whether you like it or not. Same thing with Devil Driver. I don't give a fuck. Big fan of Dez as a person, because again, I've worked hundreds of shows and never seen somebody that big, in the metal scene actually lean over and shake the hands of the people protecting him. So a lot of respect for that guy.
Yeah, have you thought about having some members of metal bands on yourself?
Man, metal, it seems like I have more trouble with it when it comes to musicians than anything else, because I think you would think that would be the easiest. Now, obviously, the ones I know on a personal level, that's different. Because again, half the problem is that you get these people who want to ask you questions, and they're questions you don't give a fuck about 9 times out of 10. I had to deal with it when I was in Menace. I hated doing interviews when I was in fucking Menace. It was a pain in the ass. So I get it, trust me. But I've put out some feelers to some people. I don't want to give away any names or anything like that. I haven't made a whole lot of headway though for some reason. And to be fair, I'm sure they get hit up constantly day and night with wannabe, podcasters and interviews like myself. And they just want to they
probably get hit up by people like us.
they got an inbox full of different people, I'm sure. So it's definitely on the to-do list, but I feel like there's got to be a line I've got to cross to break into that door before I can do it. I just haven't figured out what it is yet. But yeah, I would definitely love to.
Probably go right to spam or to the trash envelope.
Yeah, that's another problem too. Yeah, I've had people hit me back and go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your email. It was in my spam folder." Like, thank you, Google. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Google thinks I sound like I'm selling some fake shit.
I remember when we first put this thing together. I remember me and Charlie, when John was with us, we went to Camp Zool 1 and 2, and I was like, man, this is opportunity right here. I know we're here to see a show and hang out with homies, but think of this as like a chance to really talk to some people. And dude, right after that, we were able to pull. We got an interview with V Sinister, right after Camp Zool 1, and he was on with us the second time. And yeah, it's like, if you really get the opportunity to network and you got a whole weekend to be at the same place as some artist, don't come out of there empty-handed if you're a podcaster, Do what you can and talk to people. You never know what'll happen. I mean, if you ain't got a leg up, sometimes people will be like, oh, really? And hit up especially the openers, man. The openers are always hungry for a chance to get their stuff out there.
Yep.
That's just a heads up on how to do
absolutely.
that. But anyway, man, Menace to Sobriety. Can you give us a little history lesson on them, on how you guys got together and when that all formed, and all the way up to like
Cool gathering stories.
yeah,
I like
you got some.
stories.
Yeah, we love the stories from the road, man.
That's
Yeah.
where that's where I found out about Menace was gathering.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Menace,
did.
Yeah, Menace. People don't realize this, or they forget because it was so long ago. Menace to Sobriety was headlining main stage back in Cave and Rock days. So Menace has been around in the scene forever. It's just I say they like I wasn't a part of it. The band itself, because I was not. There's only one original member left at the end of the conception, and that was Doc. Doc was the only one. Menace has changed their roster a lot throughout the 20 years they were together. But how I know them was we all grew up in the same town together. And I say we went to high school. Me and Doc went to the same high school together, but Doc was not going to high school. But that's how we knew each other. You know what I'm saying? But so we all kind of knew each other through that. I had heard about Menace for years and years and years, and when they were headlining at Cave and Rock, I wasn't a part of the band, but I knew of them and I knew them. And me and Doc, I wouldn't say we were friends or anything like that, but we were acquaintances. And then about right around the time where I started promoting is when Menace had taken a hiatus because they had decided that a lot of the Juggalo stuff that they were doing at the time, and this was at kind of a really big down slump. I think this was shortly after the people started ODing at the drug bridge and stuff like that. Menace was kind of like, okay, we're going to back off. And they took a little bit of a hiatus. And I started booking shows in Dayton, and we connected, and I started booking them on shows. And then one day I get a phone call, scared the shit out of me because Doc don't call you before noon 9 times out of 10. And it was like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, what the fuck is he calling me for? And he was like, hey, you want to join one of the best bands in Ohio? And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So I was like, yeah, who needs somebody? Like, it didn't even bother to cross my mind. Like, oh, there's an opening in Menace now. And he kind of laughed. He was like, nah, one of the other vocalists is getting out of here. We're getting ready to book some tours and go on the road. And he's got family stuff and he doesn't want to go. Would you like to take a spot? And that's ironic because by the time we actually went on that tour, which is, I don't know if you can see it at the angle this is on, but that's the Spooktacular Horror Show tour, which was my first tour, the one that we're talking about, that they were trying to book. The vocalist that left because he didn't want to go on ended up rejoining the band by the time we left for that tour. So it was pointless for him to leave to begin with because he just ended up coming back. But so I ended up joining them, and we made we had a lot of fun, man. As far as like road stories go, like bro, Misfits, end of August. What the hell are you talking about, Body Rock? Body Rock's just in there having a conversation with himself. Oh, I think he's talking about being on here. Okay, all right, cool. Anyway, anyway, so fucking, where was I? Oh,
Road stories.
Yeah, so road stories. When it comes to the Spooktacular Horror Show tour, and the reason why I always go back to that tour, yes, it was my first one. It wasn't my last. But I went from fucking absolutely nothing, never touring before, to being on tour with Twisted, Blaze, ROC as what was that? What was that group that they had together? Zodiac Imprint.
Zodiac Imprint.
They were doing the Zodiac Imprint stuff and Mac Lethal. And for a full 40 days, dude, that was a lot to take in. And I'm not shitting y'all. This isn't an over exaggeration. We broke down every single day on that tour. Every single day. 40 days straight. Something on the RV that we took to go on that tour broke down. Whether it be something as simple as a spark plug or every single tire that was on that bitch was replaced at least once throughout this tour. We would have came back with a $10,000 profit if it wasn't for that fucking RV. But see, where we fucked up is we had bought this RV and drove it to a couple of shows, like from Dayton to Columbus or Dayton to Cincinnati or Dayton to just somewhere locally, like an hour and a half. Our first stop was in Minneapolis.
What's up, freak?
What up, Courtney?
So all the way out in fucking Minneapolis is our first stop. That's 13 hours away Like immediately, day one, our radiator cracked. Day one,
Oh
our
fuck,
radiator cracked.
that's a bad one.
So luckily, it cracked at the top, but we couldn't drive during the day, especially on the West Coast. You get in Arizona and Nevada and California, it's fucking 80 degrees, even though it's October, and we're overheating. So we literally can only drive at night at that time. So right there in most, you got people fighting about who's going to drive, who's going to stay up. Bro, there was a show in Virginia where we got pulled. All right, so we're on the side of the highway in West Virginia, and enough time has passed. I'm sure we can't get in trouble for this. And
Yeah, you're good here, man.
no, well, you'll understand here in a second. So it was like we had 2 weeks left of the tour or whatever, and we were pulled over on the side of the road in Virginia, and we're pulled over because again we were broke the fuck down, and we were so fucking tired of breaking down. We brought some weapons with us because we didn't know we knew we were going to Los Angeles, and we're a bunch of, I mean, granted, me and Rich are minorities, but other than that, it's a fucking RV full of white guys. We didn't know what the hell was going to happen. But so we brought a bunch of weapons, and at this point, we're like, you know what? Let's just shoot off a bunch of clips. And so we just pull out our guns and start shooting off the highway.
Oh Jesus!
just to let out some frustration. And at one point, we're like, dude, we've unloaded like 3 clips. We have no idea what's going on in this forest. Like, there could be a fucking house there for all we know. We don't know. So we're like, all right, we're done. So we're feeling good about ourselves. And then here comes the tow truck that we think is going to be a flatbed to get us. Bro, these motherfuckers sent like a S10 with the cross on it. And we're like, fuck it, we got to get to the venue. So this dude he's got 2 of us in the cab. The rest of us, the rest 9 of us, I think at this point in time, because at this point, I think one of our road guys already went home because he was tired of getting his ass kicked every day. And so yeah, there's 9 of us hiding in the RV, and this fucking S10 with the cross is carrying us to the venue. So not only is that not only is that embarrassing, by the time we get there, there are people lined up because I think doors were going to open in 20 minutes. So we got to pass all these ninjas waiting in line to get into the show, and they see us get off stage or get off the RV and go into the venue. And when they see us on stage, they remember who we were because just 2 hours ago, we were the motherfuckers getting carried to the venue on the S10. Bro,
dude, that shit's dope. That shit's dope as hell because you guys showed up fashionably fucking late, and it's hard to. That's dope. That's a dope ass story, bro.
No shit.
Dude, it was.
Motherfuckers ain't never seen that at a show again.
Never, because people actually bring vehicles that are trustworthy on this kind of shit. And it's funny, we got all the way out to Minneapolis, and after the first breakdown, Jim Job's like, dude, you guys shouldn't have got this RV. It's like, we're already in Minneapolis now. It's too late, motherfucker. What do you want us to do? Rent a budget truck? Like, come on. But what was cool about it, though, was the fact that, like, we got a lot of props and a lot of recognition. There was one day in West Virginia where we literally pulled up to the venue, unloaded our shit, played 2 songs, loaded back up, and went on to the next town because we were dealing with yet another breakdown, but we were not missing a single stop. It didn't matter what it took. We were not missing a stop on that tour. And at the very last night, we were in Sauget, Illinois at this venue called Pops. It's legendary.
Pops,
I've been there.
Pops is an amazing spot. And,
right next to the strip joints.
Right next to the strip joints, yes.
Yeah.
And I remember we had just gotten done with our last set. Draven, who was, I think he was drumming for them at the time. Yeah, he was definitely drumming for them at the time. I think that was one of his first tours he did as a drummer with them. Had bought this big ass bottle of moonshine, and we killed it like within 10 minutes. I'm not even exaggerating. And we're sitting behind stage, and there's Blaze waiting to go on. And he stops to us, and he looks at us and just goes, man, I respect y'all so much more right now because you guys made it to every single one. He said, you went through hell to get to every single one, but you made it to every single one. And you don't understand how many people don't do that. And in the adversity that you guys like, and I'm just sitting here like, dude, I bought this dude's CD when I was in high school, and he's giving me props, for it was one of all the hell that I went through was washed away at that point. Because mentally, I'd quit Menace at least 10 times when we were on this tour. And then when I'm sitting here soaking in, like, this is one of my idols, giving me props for a job well done, all of it's worth it. And I would do it the exact same way again, just because of that. So there's been a lot of shit that's happened to me that I don't think has really sunk in the last 10 years because I'm so paranoid about having an ego about the shit that I have done or do or whatever it might be, because I don't ever want to be that guy. I hate that fucking guy. Whenever I'm around people and they've got that I'm better than you attitude, regardless of who it is, and there's a lot of them. Some of them had to learn the hard way since COVID that you can't fucking act like that. I'm not gonna give any specifics of who that might be, but I'm sure if they pulled into their medicine bag of tricks, they would know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of people in this scene that have that attitude, and I try really hard not to think about that kind of stuff, because then I start to be like, look at me. Even when it comes to this podcast, I try really hard not to focus on who I've had, because if I do, I start to get yeah, and I start looking down on look at this podcast with only 10 views, and then that voice in my head goes, motherfucker, them 10 views were hard earned, just like your 10 views or 100 views or 1,000 views are hard earned. Don't be like that. And so I try not to think about these moments, but there's times like this where I reminisce, and I just say, man, all the shit that I went through was fucking worth it. And it's allowed me to get this mindset of being humble planted deep in my head, because all the shit that I had to deal with to get to this point. And it reminds me, hey, just because somebody's eating shit right now doesn't mean they can't be working to get better like you did,
I was gonna say, dude, the way you were talking about that, like the whole like aspect of that, like I've had people on like yourself, I've had that have been doing a lot of things, staying pretty busy. We had Fritz the Cat on recently, and I, like you said, it isn't always about who you have on, and you could have the same amount of viewers whoever's on, but at the same time, it's like I feel blessed to have just those few viewers that'll always tune in every week, like Rand over there in the chat. He's here every week, man. There's a lot of people that just tune in and say hey to us every week, and we appreciate it. You work hard and you get your loyalists, and the loyalists that's what it's all about, man. The people that are just, they don't care if you've had a good show or bad show. They just want to see what you're up to,
Mike Fancourt is another one. Mike Fancourt, I got to shout him out real fast, because Mike Fancourt is one of my diehards, just like Donald Bonner is. I know exactly what you're talking about there, man. There's certain people where you go in the chat and you go looking for their comments because they're the ones that enjoy your work the most. And those two, like you just said, bro, if I only had 2 viewers, the fact that those 2 viewers are watching and enjoying and telling me what they are liking or not liking, that's all I want.
Good.
Rand's fucking dope, and he's one of the downest motherfuckers you could have as a somebody to take him, watch your show.
Sexy as fuck.
Yeah, he's pretty attractive guy, I guess. That's what I've heard.
Kiss that motherfucker right on the mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Ew. All right, Body Rod, is this what you're talking about, sir? I'll go ahead and post it up. You're at any of these dates? Go check out the Michigan Misfits. Are they still on this tour, right?
He said all the stops, right?
Yeah, all the stops, man. Make sure that you guys go out and support them. They're the supporting act on this tour, and it's big for them to be on tour again.
Yeah, actually, the last stop was the 27th, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's over.
We're late.
It's over.
Oh, it's over.
You're late,
right.
dude.
My
it
bad.
ended last week.
It ended last week, man.
See,
late to the party.
Get your shit together. Whatever.
All right. Well, we'll do this then. Sorry. Sorry, Body Rod. I tried. We got another giveaway going on. The Harvester's got himself the DW Win giveaway. Get yourself a Boy Gob hat, Boy Gob mask.
Yeah, courtesy of Mr. Martino. He's a dope dude. Everybody, he's graced us quite a bit with coming on here and just hanging out and shooting shit. Same with T-shirt Joe and stuff. This is a glow boy hat, so all the stitching glows in the dark, and he made the mask up special just for the show, for the giveaway, and that's pretty dope of him. So stay tuned in. Go over
That's
there.
the day after my birthday. Whoever wins this should give it to me as a late present.
I agree.
Hey, there you go.
People get over there and like and share and comment and all that jazz, and let's get participation, man. That's all that's all I care about.
I mean, that's all you gotta do is try.
You can win some cool
Even if
shit.
it's the same 25 people every time, I would rather have I just like to see the participation, and that's what keeps it going.
All right. Also in news, these guys are still doing their thing. I know they still got their thing going on. So if you want to check out them Silver Booth boys or those super famous luchadors, there you go. Those are the dates. Those are the places. Go check them out. They've got amazing acts opening up for them, man. I saw Stocks Boogie was going to be doing one of their shows.
Yeah, New York, I think. Yeah.
And if a lot of people that are watching this right now, if people don't know who Super Famous is, I listened to them prior to camp, but I guess I wouldn't really focus on them. I'm more like the dirtier, like Ala Zulu. I like King Gordy. I like guys like Wampy. I like really more aggressive, more
Chuckles.
people. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, I have a lot of respect for those boys. They made my kids' camp, my kids' first ever show. They made it, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for those guys. So if you haven't heard them, go look them up and go listen to them.
Yeah, what have you been listening to, Jay? What's new on your playlist lately?
Man, I've been into like this really weird. I've got some weird mixes going on right now, and I don't know why. I go through phases. Like if it's not my go-to default is always
metal.
Whether dwarf man, don't watch it. Don't talk about dwarf metal disparagingly. But yes, dwarf metal, like I said, but that's a perfect example right there. Like I go through some weird phases, but I always default to some kind of metal. Recently, I've been trying to build a In Flames playlist. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're melodic metal. Always been a big fan of them, and I've been building some of their playlists. I was super heavy into Ghost for a couple months, but I don't know, something happened where I was like, oh man, Ghost is fucking awesome. And then I think I started to read some stories about some of the shit that's happened in the band before, and it kind of like turned me off to it business wise. So not so much into them at the moment, but I still like Square Hammer. I think is an amazing track. It's one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard in my life. So I've been sprinkling in some Ghost. Believe it or not, I've been listening to a shit ton of Outkast for the last couple of months. I don't know where that came
Aquemini
from.
CD?
But what's that?
You listen to that Aquemini? Is that what's going on?
Yep, Aquemini. Yeah. I've been listening to ATLians.
Yeah.
Stankonia, I kind of ruined for myself because I bumped it the first year it came out so much that it's hard. Dude, you know what I'm saying? I wore myself out on it 20 years and I'm still kind of worn out on it. But I don't know, for some reason I've been really listening to, and I mean there's always bands that are always in the rotation. I'm always going to listen to some motherfucking Limp Bizkit. I'm always going to have something from the underground on a playlist. But at the same time, make fun of me if you want to. That's okay. Every once in a while, I will listen to some corny ass pop, just like dwarf metal. I've got no shame when it comes to music. None. Zero. And recently, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build an Ace of Base playlist. So I've been building an Ace of Base playlist too. Why?
Oh, dude.
Because I loved Ace of Base as a kid, and it's corny 90s pop, and there ain't nothing better than corny ass 90 pop music.
Technotronics, dude. Technotronics.
I've been bumping old school T-Pain for weeks.
Fuck yes! I love that shit.
Dude, I like the Technotronics, man.
I've been getting into some EDM. Maybe that's why, because I just thought about this. I've been getting into some EDM lately too, like kind of like the electronic covers and shit like that. Not all of them are good, and I definitely don't like the shit that you see at festivals these days for the most part. But man, I think there's something to a good EDM track too.
Right on, man.
There's
So
this guy called like Scuzz Twiddly or whatever. He's like a fucking country like spoof singer, and I'll tell you what, he's got a song and it's about titties, and it's fucking hilarious. He's got
What's it by?
I'll look up the thing real quick, man. Dude's fucking hilarious, and he does.
always got you.
He was like, what is it? Party Like Charlie Sheen is one of his other songs, and it's fucking hilarious. I'm looking it up right now. It is
Scuzz Twiddly. There he is.
Scuzz Twiddly, yes. The dude's goddamn hilarious.
My dude looks like he's 12.
It's funny as shit.
Hell yeah. All right.
Rand, we appreciate you watching us during Raw, sir. I know that we're on opposite of Raw. It's not easy for everybody to catch us because, oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up to you, Jay. How do you feel about Raw's current storylines and the way they're approaching the new bloodline?
Indifferent. That's the best word I can describe it with right now, because, and I talked about this on the last heated discussions I did with the Walmart guys, but I think we're at this weird spot where WWE is like when it comes to Cody's title reign, I have no interest in it at this moment in time, because there's only two ways Cody Rhodes is losing that title right now. A would be to injury, and pray like hell that doesn't happen. You're a piece of shit. I don't care who you root for, whatever. If you root for people to have injuries, you're a piece of shit. I just want to throw that out there right now. But number one, Cody Rhodes gets injured. Or number two, we find out what The Rock gave Cody the day after WrestleMania when he slipped him that thing in his hand and said, "Don't you ever break my heart again. You don't need to see this to know what this is." They wouldn't have done that if we're not doing a callback to that. And the only reason why we do a callback to that is because The Rock's coming back to fuck with Cody. Cody ain't losing that belt until The Rock comes back. So until The Rock comes back, I don't feel for 5 seconds that his title reign is in jeopardy. Not in a booking sense. He ain't losing that title. So I have no interest in that. Now, what does that have to do with the new bloodline and how that's going? Raise your hand if you really think Solo Sikoa is going to beat fucking Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. And if you raise your hand, I'll fucking kill you.
I don't know who that is.
It's not going to.
I kind of want to raise my hand now.
No, but at the same time, it's only going to be because he's going to have backup. I have a feeling that the other, Randy Orton will come out, Kevin Owens will come out. They'll be out there to like back him up against the rest of the new bloodline. The only person I like in the new bloodline, other than I like Solo Sikoa in NXT, but I was going to say I've always been a huge fan of Jacob Fatu back in MLW, and I'm just really glad to see him doing what he's doing now. I mean, he's worked really hard to get there, so like I'm excited about that aspect of him being there. But I'm like you said, I mean, how's The Rock going to respond to all this? I mean, when he shows up, because he was supportive of Roman Reigns being head of the table, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So,
and don't get me wrong, though. I do think, though, that there is something there with the bloodline, but when it all is said and done, there's too many stories up in the air right now. Like, there's a difference between storytelling and just creating unknown circumstances for the sake of creating unknown circumstances. And what I mean
Tom's
by that
here.
is,
what's up, Tom?
we all know,
What's up, Tommy?
we all fucking know that Roman's coming back at some point, and it's going to be him and the old bloodline versus the new bloodline. But why do we got to do all this shit in between? And I'm not saying don't storytell, but god damn it, I've got a shirt in my closet, and it says The Bloodline, and it's a picture of Roman Reigns with the Universal title and the Usos with the SmackDown title. That's it. That's all that's on that show. That shirt is 3 years old. 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? 3 years
So-
ago, we were doing this shit with the bloodline. 3. I can't take it anymore. You gotta put a bow on this. Like it's driving me nuts. But the players that are involved at least is keeping my attention. I didn't know Jacob Fatu in MLW. I never watched his stuff because I never had a way to check out MLW. But I've heard his name for the last decade. Everyone has always said that he is a top tier talent, and you're getting a chance to see that. If this is helping anybody at all, it is launching him in a big way. He's already a top contender, and he's only been there, what, a month? Something like that. Like, that has elevated him. Absolutely.
The
But
only
at the same time,
conspiracy theorists I've ever met that were more like crazy than government conspiracy theorists are wrestling conspiracy.
Oh yeah.
you know that's right. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. You see the whole storyline unfold, and people are like, they're like,
Yeah.
this
Oh, yeah.
is why, and it's gonna
Fantasy
be a
booking,
callback.
everything. That's the best
Yeah.
part of being a wrestling fan. It's like, oh, they'll go this way and this way. But I talk to Body Rot sometimes about wrestling and his private messages, and he'll just be like, man, he's just deadpans everything. He'll be like, just like he was before. He said it'll be a DQ in the match. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how he handles it. He's like, he knows exactly, and he'll just tell you dead on what's good, what he thinks of things. And it's like, really? You don't think it'll be exciting at all? And he's like, nope, it'll just be like this. And I know he's going to watch SummerSlam. He's going to enjoy it, but he's already got his mind made up on what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's also being a fan in your own way. I mean, that's also being a fan in your own way. But do you feel like when you learned, as you grew up, okay, you've probably been a wrestling fan for a long time because most fans that are wrestling fans were when they were a kid. When you learned about everything being truly predetermined and all that shit, taking you way back, did it affect you in a way that it pulled you away from it for a little bit, or did you get more into it because you knew the ins and outs of the background of what went on with the politics, putting things together, who's running what? Because I find that stuff interesting now, but I didn't as a kid. You know what I mean?
So about that. So when I was growing up, obviously there was always rumors that it wasn't real. You know, this was in the height of the Monday Night Wars, and the internet wasn't exactly accessible to everyone. So unless you got Dave Meltzer's dirt sheets in your mailbox, you didn't know what was going on. So it was easy to fall into kayfabe, especially when you're a 12-year-old kid. What also was happening around that time was I hit a growth spurt, and I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and my 2 sisters always used to beat the shit out of me because they were always twice my size. And I started getting bigger, and they found out very quickly, you're not going to beat my ass. For some reason, it was blamed on not the fact that they were fucking with me, but I was watching that violent pro wrestling stuff. No, it didn't make any sense at all. Like they kept trying to beat my ass. I'm defending myself, and WWF is getting blamed for it. Like, what the fuck? When did my mom turn into Bob Costas? But so
That's fucking hilarious.
That happened, and my mom eventually called my dad, and my dad trained to be a wrestler, but he found out real quick, like, oh, it's real, and never went any farther than a couple training sessions. But he was the reason why I was a wrestling fan. As you said, I started watching when I was 4. And my earliest memory in life was I had the old blue. Y'all remember that blue WWF ring with the red, white, and blue stripes?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I still got it. I still got the same one in my closet right
With
now.
the plastic stairs on that's connected to it. You put the stickers on it. Yep.
Yep, you put the stickers on it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I still got the exact same one in my closet right now. But my earliest memory in life is I had that ring, and I've got the Big Boss Man, and I think it was Macho Man, and I was watching TV, and they were fighting. I was fighting with the figures while I was watching them, trying to like recreate the match or something like that. That was my earliest memory, not only as a fan, but in life. Like, that's the absolute earliest thing I can remember. And the reason why I got into it was because my dad was into it, and he was never in the picture. And this is going to sound kind of sad, and I don't mean it to be. It's just what happened. I got into it because I thought that'd be something that would like strengthen our relationship, and it just turned out it became a love for me because this was a man I only spoke to on the phone maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And when we would talk, I would want something to like be excited about. Now we would talk all things wrestling for the little bit of time that I would talk with him. So anyway, so fast forward to the fact that my mom blamed the fact that I was beating the shit out of my sisters and it was WWF's fault. She calls my dad and puts my dad on the phone, and my dad is explaining to me how it's not, he explains the work aspect of it. And I remember it, bro. I remember sitting on a kitchen counter and just this look of like,
Damn.
it's just on my face, like, and I felt my fandom just go, brrr. And for about a good 2 years, I didn't watch. And that was the first time where I really, my first time in my life that I can remember anyway, where I started to take a break from watching it. And then that was around the time as well, like when the WWF stopped having competition, I became a little bit bored with it as well. Like when the NWO was over and you could tell, like we were in 99 at that point, and it was just like the heat, a lot of the heat was gone. Like there was still some good shit going on. This was around the time of the corporate ministry and stuff like that. So there was still some good heat going on at the time. But I ended up, that was the time where I got smartened up to it and I stopped watching for about 2 years. And then when Triple H's reign of terror started happening, which nobody else but me openly says that they like, I think it was one of the coolest things in wrestling history. Those 4 years when
He
the
plays
brand
a good
split
villain.
happened and Triple H was just fucking destroying everyone and made the careers of Dave Batista and Randy Orton and reignited Shawn Michaels' career and made guys like Chris Benoit. You know, when you had all that stuff, don't tell me Triple H is selfish just because a couple of the indie darlings didn't get over on him on the time. So fuck off. Anyway, so I started watching again then, and that's when I started really like watching the behind the scenes stuff was around then, because again, that was at a time where the internet was really
Just
becoming a
picking up.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Everybody
2003,
had those AOL
2004.
trials.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So once that came around, man, it was a lot easier to look at the backstage stuff, and I did start becoming interested in the backstage stuff at that time. So
Let's
but
touch
then,
base on something real quick, not to cut you
yeah,
off. You kind of glazed over how you were beating your sister's asses and how your mom blamed it on wrestling, okay?
yeah.
Here's the real question. Before we can just side with you on this, I need to know how you were beating their asses. Were you like DDTing them?
Yeah. You hitting them with like pile drivers and shit.
I mean, I could understand if she was
See,
blaming it on
here's
wrestling.
the other
if you
thing,
were
dog.
fucking razor's edging these people.
Like you all know what it's like being a dude where you hit your growth spurt and it takes you a couple of months to figure out where things are, like as far as your reach, your legs, the distance between things is all different and you have to get used to it. The one that did it was I was on top of my second oldest sister. I was holding her down on the ground and I was like, don't get up. Don't. And I didn't hit her at this point, but I was just keeping her on the ground. And eventually I got her to admit or say that she wouldn't get up. And I go to get up and I pick my knee up. And when I picked my knee up, it hit her in the fucking eye.
Oh,
And
fuck.
it wasn't even an
You
attack.
fucking
That's what was
checked her.
fucked up. Yeah, I just checked her straight in the eyeball with my knee. Didn't even mean to do it. She had a gigantic shiner for like
Right in the face with it.
a week.
See, I was thinking you were going to just glaze over and I was going to find out that you like razor's edged like your sister into like a coffee table or some shit.
No,
and then
it
they're
was
trying to
nothing
play it
like
off
that.
like it wasn't like it wasn't spurred
Right.
on by some wrestling or something like
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't like that at all. I don't understand how that shit got blamed on by wrestling. Well, I do understand is because it was an easy scapegoat. And that was
Never a choke
that was
slam or
around that.
nothing.
No,
Don't
nothing
get
like
funny.
that. The only thing we would do is we had a trampoline in our backyard and we would sometimes
Drop
do wrestling
kicks.
moves, but it was never anything like
Yeah.
where I was trying to like I wasn't trying to fight my sisters on a trampoline. Like that's just a recipe for disgustingness. So no, that never
Accidentally
happened.
drop kick her off the fucking side or something, you know? Accidentally.
Right, yeah, accidentally, right. But no, it was just an easy scapegoat. Even to this day, like it baffles me. Like, wow, y'all really blame that shit on the W. But and to be fair though, I did think it was real. So if you're sitting here thinking, you know, your child is watching the professional wrestling and he thinks it's real, could he be emulating that? I get that to a certain degree. However, like you said, I'm
Till he
not
gets
putting
his
them.
ass beat.
If I'm trying to put the bitches in a sharpshooter or something, okay, I can understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You run up and throw a fake ass groin kick, like the one where you pull up short, and you don't think about the fact that it doesn't really, like, it's not really driving through their stomach. and then you're like,
Right.
they just stand there and look at you like an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
You give them the chop. You pull up short with the chop, dude.
It would just bounce off,
Oh.
bro.
If any of that happened, I could get where the blame was placed, but none of it happened. And it
I
was
thought
just
you were
meant-
just
it was-
hiding it. I thought you were glazing over it real quick.
No.
And your ma saw it
I-
or something. Body
I
slam,
wish it
something
was.
like that.
I wish it was a cooler story because with the way that my story
You should
goes
just
is I
tell it
used to
like
get
that
my
next time.
right, yeah. Because my story now is just I used to get my ass kicked by my sisters and then I hit puberty and it stopped. That's not a cool story.
I was young. My sister used to beat my ass. I grew a little bit. I gave the first one a Samboplex to the coffee table.
Right.
Next thing you know, they're
Yeah.
blaming it on WWE. I have no fucking idea.
Shit, my
Way
sister
cooler
tried to
story.
stab me.
God damn.
So let's just blame Michael Myers, right?
Right.
All right, so yeah. Thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate your time tonight. Go ahead and let them know. Do you have a set time for your show, or do you just announce when you're going to have it on?
I think I'm sticking for the foreseeable future with Wednesdays at 5:00 in the morning. I was playing with some different times before in the past, but so far it seems like Wednesday at 5 is the most convenient for everybody because it gives them the entire day to try to find it, and it seems to be working out well. So Wednesdays at 5 for the foreseeable future. That might change later, but I'm comfortable at that time slot right now because we're not doing this. I don't do my show live. Obviously, if you watch it, you
Right.
know. I edit. I
Yeah.
go back and really chop it up and make sure it's as smooth as possible. So I have the ability to pre-plan that. So that might change, but as of right now, Wednesdays at 5:00 in the morning. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
we just like to have a fuck show all the time.
You
That's
should
kind of our
podcast
thing.
out at wrestling shows. That'd be
You
dope.
kind of broke up there. What was that?
I said you should podcast during some wrestling shows. Like go out when you go to a wrestling show, that'd be dope.
That would be dope. And I do have. There is a local promotion here in Dayton. They're called Wrestling Revolver, and they I think John Moxley either owns it or he just is like a part of booking it. But Sammy Callahan, I think it's primarily his territory. And they do a lot. I'm going to my first show actually this month, I guess next month, August. At the end of August, I'm going and I'm hitting up one of these shows. I'm going to start building some of that relationship there. And it is my goal to get some mobile equipment. I was supposed to have some for Camp Zool 4 this year, but the deal I had in place fell through. So now I got to come up with some other ones. But my goal is to start doing some interviews in person, but I've got to get the mobile tech first. And then once I get that, absolutely. I think it'd be really cool to see if I can start traveling across the country almost and go to some of these indie promotions and just do like a 15-minute profile on them that I could throw in front of like a Ken Shamrock. You know what I'm saying? So that way they've got wrestling fans tuning in that don't know who they might be, but they're tuning in for Ken Shamrock or their Ken Andersons or Devon Dudley, whoever it might be. They're tuning in for them. But at the beginning, they're seeing this indie promotion, forcefully, but still they might see something they like about it. So that's definitely a goal for sure. I would love to do stuff like that.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
Sammy Callahan, dude. That'd be a dope episode.
That would be. But the thing is, I heard him on Talk is Jericho before. I feel like he might do them all in character, and I don't know. Like I haven't had somebody really be in character on my show yet. My show is the exact opposite. I do it to where I break that down. I don't know how I could take it if I'm interviewing Sammy Callahan and he threatens to stick a barbed wire baseball up my asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be kind of weird.
I would ask him about his match at Cage of Death with Danny Havoc, R.I.P. And I would also ask him about, he did that documentary about Strong Style when he went up against Fit Finlay. Yeah, those would be good stories, man. I mean,
yeah.
That's one of my favorite Cage of Death matches. Is if you ain't seen it, look up the Cage of Death, Sammy Callahan versus Danny Havoc. Probably one of the best Cage of Death matches you'll ever see. There's a couple little slips and botches here and there, but they still make it look fabulous, man. It is fucking amazing. They put each other through shit. For
I believe
real.
it. Callahan is a beast, man. I got a lot of respect for his toughness, and
Yeah.
that's typically not my style. Um, I wouldn't say that. I think it's kind of like when I was talking about the Stankonia album. I think I've kind of worn myself out on hardcore shit. So I wouldn't even say like it's not my
There was a
style. It's
time and
just
a
one of
place
those.
for it. That's how I
Yeah,
feel. It was
yeah,
yeah.
It's my
yeah.
favorite.
But
Like when it
even
comes,
still, go ahead.
I was gonna say when it comes to like the hardcore and the ultra violent, I feel like that there was a stint of time that you're an age group that it kind of suits you,
Sure.
but then you get a little older, and for me now that I'm older, I like the storylines a little bit better than But now that
Yeah.
WWE occasionally has the blood going on, it's like it really showed when Cody Rhodes got busted open recently. It was like, whoa, they got
Yeah.
blood now.
Yeah.
See,
And I think
less
it
is
is.
more.
I think too. Like if it's a good hardcore match, cool. But if we're just walking up to each other and hitting each other with shit, like I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the light bulb spot in GCW and JCW and even when ECW would do it, man, y'all are just you're just hitting each other with it. You're not selling it. So it's literally you might as well just stand there and just smack at each other with it over and over and over again. And hey, some people like that, but like, give me a reason for it. I don't know. It just seems like people think hardcore matches mean you replace storytelling in a match with just beating the shit out of each other. You can't do one without the other. It's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of bull rope matches because you have no choice in a bull rope match and it's anything goes in them. But you have no choice. You have to tell the story of touching four corners and shit like that. Like they're all when it comes to hardcore matches, that's what I'm talking about. Give me a reason to why you're handcuffing him to the ropes and hitting them over and over the head with a chair, like we saw with the fucking I Quit match with AJ Styles and Cody. Again, I didn't think Cody was losing for a second, but they told a story with everything they brought out. Every piece of weapon, there was a reason why they were bringing out. It wasn't just beat him over the head with it for the fuck of it and go on and find a table. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say I feel that there's more fun and anticipation in a match where anything goes. If it's a stipulation, like you said, either a bull rope match, a ladder match, or I used to like the old school cage matches before you could get out the door, where you had to climb over the top. That gave it some kind of because you got these spectacular moves from the top of the cage that you didn't get normally. You
Right.
know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I really enjoyed a good cage match was one of the last NXT takeovers where Gargano versed Ciampa for the last time, I think it was. And they had the barbed wire all the way around the top of the cage. And they had the weapons in it and shit. Oh, that was a good match. I liked that one. And that's one of the last times I really enjoyed a cage match. I mean, if you can get the pinfall in the cage or you have to climb out, I'm all about it. But getting out the door, that's just an easy scapegoat to me.
Let me ask y'all this, and anybody can chime into this, I guess. Are we on time constraints here?
No, I
Yeah,
mean, we
yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, yeah, because if y'all want to keep bullshitting, man, we're bullshitting. Okay, cool. So I want to see what y'all think about how WWE has done this because I am surprised at how much I have enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it when they announced it was going to return in NXT when it did. But every single War Games that they have done to date has been excellent. And I have thought that I was going to hate it almost every single time that I was going to watch it up until the Bloodline one because the Bloodline was red hot. But like
mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised at how much I enjoy the WWE version of War Games. I'd like to see what y'all think about it because I'm always interested to get opinions on stuff like that.
Any of you guys got an opinion, or do you guys watch?
I like when people use a cannon.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think that they need to. I would like to see eventually Regal come back to NXT and be the War Games announce guy because nobody does it better than him. But I did watch Blood and Guts recently, and everybody's got their own version of it.
Sure.
They got one called the War Chamber in MLW because, like I said, I watch MLW, so it's like everybody's got their own version of it. But yeah, I think WWE sticks to the basics. They don't make it too violent too quick. You know what I mean? They pace it out very well. Recently, I think that the recent addition of the blood and guts on AEW. I mean, they had a suitcase full of staple guns, so they stapled the shit out of Shane Strickland's back. I mean, all 5 people had staple guns, like stapling this guy's back up, and it was like, and he like sold it for a minute, and then he got all hyped up and no sold it and like went crazy, I guess. And then there was like a dude, Jack Perry, got handcuffed to the fucking cage and took a chair shot to the dome, which was unprotected. They
Really?
threatened to light him on fire.
I haven't heard anything about that all week. I didn't know that happened.
Dude, I mean, I'm just saying, like, okay, there's a War Games, and then there's like this was like almost like a Lethal Lockdown where TNA would try to outdo what was on other people's stuff. You know what I mean? And I'll give it to Darby Allin. I really enjoyed him doing the monkey bar spot. If you want to check that out, that's a really cool spot. He did a monkey bar spot across the top of the cage, and then he swung himself up, and he did like a coffin drop and laid across it, and he went across one of the, I think it was one of the Young Bucks on a table, and just fucking flopped, and he did a head over fucking heels flop off of it against the ropes and landed on his back. It was great, dude. It was, you could really tell the impact was good on that move. But Darby Allin, I fear that he's going to end up like Mick Foley, not able to move around real well, the way he's just asking for punishment, man. But I love War Games. I love the fact that WWE has the rights to put back some of these old WCW pay-per-views if they're done right. NXT has an opportunity to do some of them as well, like Halloween Havoc. Yeah. You know, and with Triple H ultimately having most of the final word in a lot of it, other than The Rock, and I was going to ask you about that if you wanted to bullshit a little bit longer. How do you feel about that power struggle, and do you think there will be a power struggle between those two highly big egos there? You know, you've got Triple H, who never left the company and knows the business in and out, and The Rock, who's like, man, I'm like royalty in this family, so...
I think it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out for sure. I think you've got a valid point to think that there could be a power struggle there. All of it will depend on what The Rock's role is going to be. Is he going to continue to keep going like, hey, I'll do Hollywood half of the year and then I'll come back to WWE? Then I don't think he's got any legs to stand on to overpower Triple H on anything. Obviously, he's got the power to put in input. And he's a board member. Of course he does. But that doesn't affect creative or anything like that. If it turns out The Rock is like, man, I really want to do this again full time, yeah, you're going to see a power struggle. You're absolutely. If he comes back for a year straight, there's going to be some, can they work together? It's like that corny tag team of two baby faces that, you know, can they coexist? This is the exact same thing. Can Triple H and Hunter, Jesus Christ, Hunter and The Rock, can they coexist in that kind of environment? Because like you said, man, I don't know if you have the two egos that big that are just going to agree on everything. Like, I don't know. It's weird. And I don't know if you watched the documentary that they did of WrestleMania or whatever, but The Rock made it very clear that he made it very clear in that documentary, like, he's going to do and say whatever he wants, and who's going to stop him? That's why he was dropping F-bombs on live TV, because you ain't going to do nothing to him. What are you going to do? Fine him $10,000? He's like, oh, shit, hang on. Let me appear in a movie for 30 seconds, and I'll pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what
right.
So, yeah, it'll be an interesting dynamic, but it depends on how much he's going to be there.
My predictions for The Rock in the future, I see him going up against Cody Rhodes. I see him doing that, trying to fulfill that match against Roman Reigns, because I know he said that the people want to see it, and he wouldn't hint at it again unless he knew he wanted to do it. And then I see, you know, I would love to see if Triple H had it in him to do one more match, to do one more with The Rock, with this power struggle being a part of it. But I don't see him wanting to get back in the ring and do bumps and stuff, since, you know, his heart trouble and how important things are for him to be in the role he's in. But I would like to see him and Cena do his last match, like Cena's last match of his tour, where his farewell tour or whatever. I would love to see a final boots to asses versus versus Fruity Pebbles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be a fucking awesome way out the door for Cena and The Rock. Let's face it. One more time. They've done two. Let's see a third.
Yep, they'll break that split. Yep, you're right.
And I mean, also, we heard CM Punk wants a piece of CM Punk or John Cena before he's gone as well. Sorry, and that would be interesting. I love talking wrestling. I'm sorry, guys. When I get in the rabbit hole with wrestling, I'll talk about it for a while, man.
I told you.
Yeah.
It's the conspiracy theorist.
I'm telling you, man. I love it.
I'm telling you. People make their whole. I'm like, you guys just, if they just turn this on, they could literally program an entire season of wrestling and just tell it back to you. They wouldn't even have to write anything. They could just be like, we're just going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the mind for it, I feel like, because I run that wrestling promo cutting page over there, come get your promo cut, and it's a bunch of us homies that will cut wrestling promos on each other on the occasion, and I've found that with that, you got to really love wrestling, the promo aspect of it, to really get into something like that, and that's one of the things that broke me into doing this. Was that at first all I was doing was cutting promos as a Whipstick imitation. Like I was like the Wish version of Whipstick. So I'd come up and cosplay at shows as Whipstick. I got an old mask that looks just like his, only it doesn't have the red nose. I got it off the wrestling website, where you can get them from Mexico. And he's like, man, you should just switch your mask up. And then you can do whatever you want, it's like T-shirts or whatever. We wouldn't have a compromise with it because I was always asking him permission to do stuff. And now I did this, and now it's all good. But it's like, I got to say, dude, if it wasn't for wrestling, I probably wouldn't be as much into the underground as much as I am, because I even asked Blaze this when I did his meet and greet for the Fams Friday. I was like, dude, you were in Psychopathic, and Jay and Shaggy were in WWE for a minute. Like, do they incorporate a lot of what they learned from wrestling into what you guys were doing? Character development, storyline, all this shit. And he was like, yeah, it all goes into that. Like, he verified that for me. That was a very important question for me to ask, because as a huge wrestling fan and learning the backstage stuff, I always figured that's probably how they ran some of that shit, and it's just true. I mean, I'm just saying that helped me a lot with my fandom when it comes to like all these bands with gimmicks and storyline that they make for themselves, or the lore they put behind it. I can get behind it because I was a fan of wrestling, and I like music that has something behind it, like the old Nine Inch Nails record. Everyone you listen to all the way through had like something about it, stuff like that.
Yeah, and there are roots. You can't make an argument for it. This is the history of it. Professional wrestling got started on the carnival circuit. What is the carnival? The carnival is the inspiration for all things ICP. They are one and the same. The same thing that you do for professional wrestling works in the entertainment industry because it's one and the same. And the entertainment industry, when it comes to live events, entertainment industry is all the same. That's just live events. I'm just speaking live events. It's all about finding your audience, getting them through the door, and how much money can I milk them for while they're here. It all comes down to those same basic aspects. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're a traveling carnival, it's the same thing. Get them through the gates, get them to buy the ticket. How much money can we get them for? So there are roots rooted in business aspect of both that are exactly the same. So if they're exactly the same business practices, it's going to be the same kind of practice all the way through. Music, professional wrestling. That's why the two gel. That's why they ended up pairing when it came to the Freebirds. That's why music hit it off so much in professional wrestling, because it gives you a vibe. It matches. So any way you look at the both, like you alluded to, gimmicks. Kiss. Where did Kiss get their start? Detroit. Where did Alice Cooper get his start? Detroit. Where did Eminem's goofy ass get his start? Detroit. They all had a gimmick of some sort. Where did ICP come from? Detroit. What did ICP do before they got into music? They were wrestlers. So yeah,
I'm gonna start
it
telling
goes
people
hand
I'm
in
from
hand.
Detroit. Shit.
Right.
Where's Smasher Dave from? Detroit.
Little
Again,
known
man.
fact: Killer's uncle is actually Kid Rock.
No,
I wouldn't be proud of that, man.
that's
Come on.
speculation. I cannot
Purely
confirm that.
speculation. Hey, I hope that eventually both Limp Bizkit and the Insane Clown Posse get that Hall of Fame ceremony ring from WWE.
I
They
think
both
Fred
deserve
Durst will absolutely Fred Durst will get hit at some point. It will happen. I don't think ICP will though, because dude, okay. So I've got to post this audio at some point, because this is one of the reasons why everybody keeps talking about why aren't they in the Hall of Fame? Why aren't they in the Hall of Fame? All right. So Conrad Thompson, I think in 2021, booked them for a Starcast event that he did. And I asked Conrad how that event went in a Q&A, and I've got audio of him saying this. ICP fucking was 4 hours late to this meet and greet they were supposed to do, which they were supposed to eat dinner, I think, lunch or dinner or something like that, with fans who bought a ticket to eat this meal with them. They no-showed it, so they had to cancel it. They were 4 hours late to their actual screening. Conrad said, and again, his words, not mine. Conrad said that they called in a bomb threat to the building and refused to go on unless they got additional money that they were already paid.
What the fuck?
That's why they're not in the Hall of Fame, because they do dumb fucking business practices and have their entire careers like that. That is the one thing about the clowns I have never understood. They have an uncanny ability to take the biggest shotgun they could find, point it directly at their foot, and bam, pull the fucking trigger. I don't
I gotta
understand
admit,
why
that's
they do
pretty
shit
funny
like that.
though. Calling in a fucking bomb threat and demanding more money.
I
That's
gotta
I mean,
hilarious.
come on, they're clowns. They're clowns.
That is fucking hilarious.
Body Rot's
But-
probably rolling in his chair right now, like.
Probably.
You let us have a bomb
That's
threat.
why. That is your reason why they're never going to be in the Hall of Fame until like they're on TV doing Frito-Lay commercials and shit like
Could
that.
you imagine them trying to hit up Vince McMahon like, "Hey man, we'll show up, but we need extra pay. We need make sure you give us some, a little bit more money up front." Vince would be like, "That ain't gonna work out for me, pal."
Right.
Want the best toilet paper.
Yeah, we want the double ply toilet paper. Nope, that's not unprofessional. Donald Brown. Dude, that's fucking hilarious. So that's a good story. I didn't even know about that story about ICP bomb threat at the fucking.
Yeah.
See.
I'm gonna try that at work tomorrow.
Yeah, they're not giving you an additional $5,000 if you do that. They're giving you a free trip to prison if you do that. But
I don't know, man. That sounds pretty nice. Right
He said that's unprofessional.
Well, I'm a little bit scared, but I think I'll show up if you'll pay me a little extra.
Yeah. I'm scared,
Hey,
but I'll.
Bootleg, we
I'm scared, but money will
need
get
a
rid
little
of that
bit extra.
Was that the whole reason to the bomb threat, was to make sure that they could call in and say that since there was a bomb threat they needed extra pay? Now that's fucking even funnier.
That's what he was alluding to. But like I said, I haven't posted the audio because it is through their ad-free show site that you have to get throughout a paywall. But
Right.
I have struggled so much with not posting it because I'm like, people need to know this. But at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Because I mean,
dude,
all
I
the
wish
shit
I
that
could have lunch with
I
a
bet
fan.
Jay called himself, like personally called.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure he was. He didn't hesitate.
There's a bomb in the building.
Shags probably didn't even fucking know about it.
Right.
Well,
He was
I don't
taking
need
a
this
shit.
anymore.
He was taking a shit. Jump Steady was out there out getting some fucking breakfast, continental breakfast or something. And he was like,
Jay's
"Man,
just on
I
the
know
phone
we're gonna
like,
need
hey,
more
yeah,
time."
there's a ball.
Well, you know how I knew that his story was probably true right from the get, because the story started off with, "Well, they showed up 4 hours late," and I'm like, "Yep, well, here we go.
Yeah.
We're absolutely
Yeah.
accurate. There it is.
That's right on track.
Yep, right on track. That sounds right." The inability for anyone in the underground. Look, when I ran shows in Dayton, every single one of them bitches were on time. The inability of anyone else in the underground to be on time with their shows makes me want to kick babies. I'm so fucking sick of these people not able to hold a fucking time schedule. And it's everyone, every last fucking one of them. Even when I do Camp Zool, like the times where everybody's coming up to me, "Hey, isn't this supposed to happen at this time?" "Yep, it sure is."
Yeah, it was
"When's it going to
supposed
happen?"
to.
"I don't fucking know. Everybody was
Ask
supposed
the
to be here for an
underground.
hour ago." Right. So yeah, it's always a pain in the ass.
That's
That's a
right.
pet peeve. That's a big pet peeve of mine.
You was the DJ over there at the first Camp Zool outside stage, right?
What's that?
Was that you over there doing sound over there at the first Camp
No.
Zool?
No,
Oh,
that was
all right.
Jimmy. Jimmy
Oh,
was doing sound at the first one. I've always been at main stage.
okay. That's okay. I got my fingers or my things switched across there. All right. Anyway, man, I want to thank you for your time, bullshitting with us a little bit extra about the whole wrestling thing. Because yeah, I had a few questions to throw
We'll
your
have to have
way.
him back again to talk like Long Live Evil and stuff. We didn't even really
Uh,
touch on that.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, okay. We'll go. We'll close out the show like this. You got anything to say about Camp Zool 4?
It's hotter than
Or 5.
fuck.
Or 5?
I can't
Yeah.
say.
What's
I
what's
can't
going
tell.
on with
What
5? Let us know. Come on. What's the
I can't.
dates?
I can't tell. I can't tell you anything about 5 because I typically find out anything like that as soon as you guys do it. I'm like, "Oh, cool. Here we are." But as far as Camp Zoo 4 goes, like it was definitely it was one of the harder ones I've done because I don't want to say that I'm getting burnt out on doing stuff like that. That's not it. This is the first year where I've done it, where I've had another project at home that I've been actively working on myself. So I'm already kind of mentally tired from that. But a lot of like life shit has been going on the last couple of months, and it's nothing negative. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a lot of shit has been going on the last couple of months. And so like mentally I wasn't quite there. But it was hotter than fuck, and I love hot
Yeah.
weather, but it was ungodly fucking hot to the point where like I can't say this. There has been some talks about what do we do with the time schedule if we keep this shit going on during the summer. Like I overheard that conversation from people who would be deciding that, for lack of better terms. So there is some discussion as far as like, do we start this later on in the night and stuff like that. And I think this year was a real wake up call because there was a lot of people roasting. I am grateful that nobody passed out from heat exhaustion because if you weren't there, it was that fucking hot. So
Oh man,
there's that.
we
Yeah.
had bricks down, man. Brandon Philbricks in the parking lot. He actually did a little drinking and ended up with some heat exhaustion, and it got pretty
Oh,
serious. So it
damn, I
actually
didn't know
did
that.
happen. Yeah, I mean, thankfully that there were people there that took care of him and got them all,
Yeah.
all ironed out. And my first year there, I was kind of leery about how the cops are. I'm not. Listen, I'm not there doing anything illegal, but also, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to have a good time, and I feel like it's always kind of weird when you feel like you got the long arm of the law just kind of like fucking staring over your back all the time. And
Yeah.
they could have searched my car anytime they want. I'm 100% legit, but at the same time, I was grateful they were there this year because they did a lot in the way
Right.
of making sure he was taken care of and stuff. So
And I can say this for sure, 100%. Trust me, I've had this conversation with them. They don't give a fuck what you're doing. This is a weekend off for them. Like they all
yeah,
put in bids to do events like these because all they got to do is just show up and make sure everybody's breathing. And
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not out there like there was an issue, and I won't get into it because I think it's inappropriate to get into the specifics in a forum like this. But there was an issue where some medical attention had to be given, and it was an arrestable offense. We'll leave it at that. The sheriff himself was like, I don't want to press any charges at all. I just want to make sure they're going to be alive. And
Fuck yeah.
I'm telling you guys, don't feel uncomfortable around these people. And I'm not saying you don't have a reason to, but they're just there to relax because ain't nobody causing any problems with anybody,
my
and they
first
know
year
that.
was weird, and then this last year was, was like no big fucking deal. But it took the first year seeing that they were just there, just kind of fucking chilling.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I remember one of them was like, yo, I wouldn't want to fight you because I had the fucking spikes in my fucking face at the time. Shit was hilarious.
Yeah, they're fucking cool as hell, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll actually appreciate it if you come up and say, hey, thanks for taking your time to come out here and make sure we're all safe.
Yeah, they made sure Bricks was good. Like I said, he the heat caught up with him, and good thing that they were there. And there were some other people there to help take care of him. So, I was pretty happy, and like I said, the first year was kind of weird because I guess I'd been to places and normally they're literally there to be the fun police. Like if it's fun, you're not allowed to fucking do it, and they're just not doing it there, like they come out and they ask the things that they had to ask. And, well, the good thing is that in general, I think you'll see that the people that are at camp are very receptive to like, hey, we can't be doing this. We don't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? We're pretty receptive to making sure that we're not ruining the fucking show for each other. Right. So,
right.
They come out and they just ask what they have to ask. And other than that, they leave you alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, Joe's like bending over and boofing THC suckers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Not only that, the first year, I think also to your point, that was such a miserable condition to be out there.
It's so cold.
And that cold.
Bring me back.
We knew that like they were suffering right along with us and they weren't fucking with anyone. They could have been like, man, I'm miserable out here. I don't want to be out here. So I'm just anybody that's smoking weed, because obviously it was still illegal at the time. It's not anymore. But anybody was smoking weed, they could have easily fucked with because they were in a bad mood. They didn't give a shit. They didn't care at all. So yeah, to your point, that first year, I think everybody was like, okay. And dude, it was so funny too, because they were owning people, because people were like, hey, can we get a picture with you? And I remember one sheriff looking at him like, yeah. And he put his arm around him and it kind of like threw homie back. And it was like, yeah, you do that shit, bro. You break them stereotypes. Because, man, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I serve on a board here where I live. It's called the Civil Service Commission, and we oversee all the rules and the hirings for the Piqua Police Department and Fire Department here. I'm on that board, city board. I'm telling y'all, there are bad cops, but there's so many of them who are like, they're fucking us. And if you can separate the same way we don't want people to judge us, we're judging other people because they're in positions of authority. And then they come to places like Camp Zool and you realize they're just fucking people. The fucking puppet masters behind it have got us all fighting with each other over statuses like police officers. And yeah, of course there's fucking cops that have power trips, of course, and they should be fried and burned at the stake for it. But so many of them are just people. I'm so sick of this mindset that we've all been trained with, that if you're different from me, regardless of what it is, I must hate you. I'm so fucking over that. I am totally okay. I got homies who are conservative. I got homies who are liberal. Why don't I hate them for their viewpoints that I don't agree with? Because the difference of opinion is how we come to an understanding. But the powers that be have made it to where they've trained the entire world to think our difference of opinion is why we can't come together. That's exactly what they want. We've got to stop that shit. And I don't know how I got on this Martin Luther King type rant.
I don't know, man. You have a dream, brother. You have a dream.
Hey, by the way, congratulations on the on the marital status today.
Oh, well, that's actually we're about ready to hit our 3-year anniversary for being married. So
so that's why that's on there. All right, well, congratulations on the.
I wouldn't be doing this show if I got married today.
Oh yeah, well, congratulations on your 3 years, then, sir.
Thank you, man.
To you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we've been together for 10, but we'll be married for 3 here in a couple weeks. So I always go back and reminisce, bro. I don't know if any of y'all are into this shit, we had
Marriage?
The-
No, I'm married, but I'm not into it.
I feel you. I feel you.
Never again.
Dude, our honeymoon was the dopest experience I ever had in my life. So we went to fucking Galaxy's Edge and Disney and did the full Star Wars experience. Because this is how we played this off. At our reception, we were like, we got married in 2021, so it was hard to get people out anyway. And we're like, you know what? Coronavirus is running wild. We just want to ask people for money. That's it. Don't buy us no gifts. We won't do no registry. Just bring money. If you want to donate to our honeymoon, that'd be great. So I think we ended up clearing like close to $4,000 just to spend like down in Orlando, right? So we first go to, actually we started off in
Saw the
Universal
hookers and blow.
and we got fucking yeah, okay. I wouldn't be celebrating 3 years if we did that. But we started off in Universal and did the whole fucking Harry Potter experience. Like we went to Hogsmeade and got on Hagrid's ride, bro. We did the photo shoot with the super fresh Gryffindor outfits and the wands. Like we did everything. And then we scooted over to we scooted over to Galaxy's Edge at Disney World and we did the fucking, there's a ride there called Smuggler's Run. It's a video game. Yes, it is a ride, but you have a cockpit area. There are 3 stations inside this Millennium Falcon. You have the front, which is the cockpit area. 2 people are up there controlling the cockpit for real. And there's a gigantic screen in front of you. And that's your only job. You steer. There's a second station in the middle, which is the one we were doing. That is your engine. No, that's the weaponry. So there's 2 other people in this ride is in charge of firing the guns. The third station, which is the station we are, my wife and me, I'm on this side, my wife is on this side. Our job is to fix the repairs on the ship as we're getting hit by the video game characters.
Oh shit.
All the while, this entire cockpit is running, like shooting you all around and next level shit, dog. So when I think about like this time of year, yes, we both agree with this. I'm not even saying this. My wife would completely agree. I think about our wedding, but I think about our honeymoon more than anything because we had an unlimited budget to be fucking big kids. You know what I'm saying? It was so fucking dope. I built a lightsaber.
Cool.
Like literally built a lightsaber. It was $200 to do it, but it is a legit lightsaber, bro. It was the shit. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life, bro.
Stop staring at me, Courtney.
All right, man. I want to thank you again for being on, dude. The conversation was great. This was a good episode, guys. I really feel like we had a lot of fun here.
I told you it'd be a good episode.
Yeah, we could thank Steve Donnelly down here, the Kill of the Alley guys, because he was like hitting you up in the comments saying you should be on our show. So thanks for taking the time to be on here with us, man.
I was like, oh man, we should so get him on here.
Yeah, man. I always love doing shit like this. The underground is my first passion when it comes to, things I've done in life, and it always will be. So anything I can do to help progress that, regardless of, it's one of the reasons why I'm mixing in. You look at my interview list and it's kind of a fever dream because I've got underground rapper, wrestler, actor, comedian, underground rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's on purpose because the person that comes for the Tom Arnold might click on the SON episode. The people that listen at my job have started to pay attention to what LLE is just because I'm talking about these on my episodes. It all comes back to promoting the underground. And I hope everybody understands that. I might not have your flavor, but I'm trying to bring that week anyway. Like there might be a comedian or a cosplayer you don't give a fuck about. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the people that do give a fuck about them and bring them into my product and say, okay, come here. You enjoyed that. Let me show you this over here that's super dope that you didn't know was dope. And when it comes to the underground, that's the whole goal behind it. So even when I can do stuff like this, man, if it progresses the underground, I'm all about it. So thank you guys very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed talking with y'all. And we got to do this again at least one more time before the end of the year, even if it is to talk. Fuck, we could schedule like a War Games post episode or something like that, man.
Why don't we schedule something before Royal Rumble?
I will be at Royal Rumble this year since it's in Indianapolis, so I would love to do that. Yes.
We could do something like I don't know, we'll give you some time because you got to go to it. We could do something, say couple weeks before you got to go to it, and we could like do predictions and shit like that. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, see, like
that'd be super fun. Yes.
Break out that conspiracy shit.
There you go. Yeah. See, there you go. That
Let's see what's gonna happen.
conspiracy
tinfoil
shit.
hats.
Yeah.
Put your tinfoil hats on. Break out that conspiracy shit, and let's see who really who knows what's gonna happen.
Dude, you think I'm bullshitting right now? Next one, I'm gonna be wearing a tinfoil hat just for you.
Oh Jesus! There you
go.
I'll fucking do it too.
Everybody.
Make sure you hit up the Harvester's posts so you can get on to be in the giveaway for the Boy Gob mask and the glow-in-the-dark Boy Gob hat. I'm sure you'll get some stickers or something cool also.
Yeah, it's all set up, man. All the glow boys. It's gonna be sick.
Old Bootleg plans on trying to make it out to this show in Peoria for Once Upon a Giant, the guest we had on last week. The singer from that band was the guy that I referred to you, Ro, that said he was really nice to them at the gathering.
Oh,
he's like, yeah. He was like, I share my weed with everybody. That was his response to me telling you that story. Yeah. And then, like we said, you want to support the underground, go check out the Silver Booth Boys, the Clockwork E, their new album.
Fun Timers.
Man, both these guys have great new albums out. Can't praise them enough. It's like they both hit it's like when 311 and Incubus both came out with Sound System and Science, and then they toured together. That's what this is right here. You can't go wrong. Get their albums and go see them live.
That was the dopest simile I've ever heard in my life.
I mean,
now talk about your damn gloves. It's time to go.
Yeah, before I go, be sure to support Bad Touch Supply. Get you some Bad Touch gloves. They're really awesome. We've got several different types. They even got a mystery pair that's like $1,000 to buy. I don't know if anybody's crazy enough to buy the $1,000 pair, but let us know what they look like if you do. And keep them in a glass case because, by God, a $1,000 pair of gloves should not be worn. Anyways, Bad Touch gloves at Bad Touch Supply. Sorry, I've been drinking. You can put in that promo code Whipstick and you'll get 10% off because he is an ambassador for their gloves. And all the Zooligans tend to like to wear these, so you look pretty fresh showing up to a Zooligan-based show, like a Zool show, SON show, rocking some Bad Touch Supply gloves. Is that enough? We good?
I think we're good.
I love you, Zooligans.
We're good. I think we're good.
Yeah. Lumpy, thanks for being here. Steve Donnelly, thanks for being here. Neck Pissa, thanks for showing up.
I'm gonna hit him with his government. I'm gonna do it.
Harvester, thanks for being here. And again, Jay, we'll do this again around Royal Rumble time. You heard it here first. I'm gonna make sure I find out. That's in November, correct?
Rumble is in February.
Oh, February. Oh, well, that's after.
Survivor Series is November.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do something in November too. Then I'll hit you up about it because we don't have a lot of people that'll come and talk wrestling with us that often. We've had wrestlers on, but you know what I mean. So, make sure you hit up the Rose Show. You said Wednesdays at 5 a.m. You post it up
Wednesdays
on YouTube. All right, and we're out this piece.